has chosen the storyline spread for your general monthly reading, which is a scattershot across the entire sign, telling 3, 4, or even 5 different stories for people going through different scenarios this month. The stories can be about any topic, so the floor is wide open. People say that often multiple stories do and will resonate with them, but the main goal of the storyline spread is to find that one story that is all about you. And that is what we're going to do today. Welcome in, Scorpio, to your storyline spread for February 2024. Now, what the intro did not tell you about is that this is actually going to be a very specific storyline spread. Spirit wanted this all to be about work corner stuff, which is a huge umbrella in most people's lives. Work, business, enterprise, area of study, collegiate courses, retirement if you're of that age, entrepreneurship, for most people just the JOB, but also learning new things, and hobbies and interests. It all falls into this corner, guys. So let's talk about these stories broken up and figure out what story is right for you here, because we're going to do that today. Story one is my short one. Just a little snippet here. Now, this is if you're a Scorpio who is doing great financially, you've had an abundance of an influx, maybe perhaps lately, or things are just going so smooth and good, cruise control ahead. If that's you, excellent, Scorpio. But there's a bad decision that looms here in February. So Spirit brings this up because they don't want you to make that bad decision. They want to remind you that you're blessed. That's my Oracle Angel card. So basically saying that you're provided for already. And you got a good situation, good circumstance. So don't be doing nothing dumb. Be a little smart with your finances here. So use discernment. Just use your head. Be a little calculated. Maybe February is not the month to be taking risks financially here for a lot of my Scorpios here. With, you've just had a good work situation. So, you don't want to be necessarily changing jobs right now. Things are just, I would say, less is more, especially if you're here in this place of abundance. So no major changes here. So something that is coming up for a bad decision. So I don't know what that is. Now, for some of you, since that card the first one does mean new love, some of you may be meeting interesting people at work or considering getting involved with somebody at work. And the Spirit is calling that a bad decision. Okay, something to consider for some of my Scorpios. There's story one. Keep in mind, guys, if you want to see these cards, I take a picture of my overhead shot, and that is on my Facebook page. I post them on there so you can see, what I'm working with, what the stories are, and so forth. So let's get into story two. Story 2 and 3, they're going to live very similarly. They have some different moving parts, but you'll see what we're talking about when we get there. Let's go to story 2, which is going to be right in front of me. The first thing they talk about is really this is much more of a coupled up Scorpio story. So you're sharing finances with somebody else, or you're working very closely with somebody else. If you're in a partnership, since this is a work spread, it's like two entities working together, or your finances are tied at home very closely together. So working together like a group energy. So they show that weakness is involved here. So not having, or at least feeling like you don't have all the tools. You're not ready, or you're not prepared, or you're trying to change something with here. They show a lot of you are beaten up in the work corner here. So you've either been physically injured, sick, or you're just being put through the ringer. You're working too hard, you're underpaid, you're worth more, you're not being paid your value. Something like that is what comes up here. And that's why they show weakness. So really, we're trying to get you to a place here where this weakness just does this. Flips right around into strength. Easier said than done, but that is the key here. So they're telling you that you have all the tools needed to move this along. So you got to work on this individual relationship, whatever they mean by that, more than likely. They bring in serendipity with my Angel Oracle card, which basically is showing here that this is just going to work out in weird ways. It's just going to run its course. Maybe not as fast as you would like it to, but it is coming, okay? Things are going to change. Things are going to move in a positive way. And they show next is this is really going to allow you to nurture your finances, maybe even to nurture your finances in February. Because what they show next is the card that could mean vacation or travel, which is coming in blocked for me, flipped around. So they're saying, don't travel right now. Don't be putting money into travel. You need to kind of focus on saving right now, which is what I use the word nurture for with my queen, nurturing of the finances here. So just something to consider, because otherwise, we don't want these finances to go on a wrong track, wrong trajectory. And right now, this strength has got to get turned around, this whole job situation really, and it will. It's just, it doesn't get turned around in February. I'm not sure, but it's very, very soon. Very, very soon. I'm going to actually go into your runestone now because it's kind of like peeking at me, and it doesn't really have anything to do, I don't think at least, with your spread, because this is the rune of possessions. So the things that you have control of. Maybe they're telling you to just focus on the things that you control versus all the stuff you don't. Of course, you don't want to get too sucked into like worrying about things that are out of your control. But usually possessions for me is more about like material objects, things that you have that you need to buy or sell, maybe repurpose, donate. That kind of stuff is something that Spirit wants a lot of my Scorpios to consider in the month of February. So there's your runestone. Now, story 3, guys, this is going to be your big, long story. This is the longest of the group, the biggest theme, lots of moving parts here. The first thing that they bring into attach to feel this out if this is your story or not, is getting out of kind of the war and chaos. It is my war and chaos card, but it's on a block, so it's kind of saying moving out of that energy. Trust me, much better to be moving out of that energy than moving into it. I like to see that a lot more. So basically, the chaos is starting to unchaos itself. And that's a very good thing to see. The next thing they show us here is the death card, which is moving ahead like completely down a new path. Okay, this is something completely different for a lot of you. It's like a dramatic work change. And they bring in transportation, so maybe it has to do with driving, or Spirit here is trying to say, you know what, you just need to focus on one thing here. Maybe some of you are focused too broad and you're not tuned in or dialed into where you really need to be here, getting things on track, going down the same path here. Now, this new beginning that is represented by death is where it's like a death to the old way, death to the old path, death to the old job, moving down a completely different course in your work corner. Okay, something a lot of you should consider here, because this is going to help you balance different areas of your life. It makes me feel like more financial and work, making more money, spending more time with the family, doing more things that you need to do financially for the family. So it's just things get moved into balance here by making this change happen, possibly February. They want to remind you, though, with my Oracle Angel card, all that glitters is not gold. So some things are going to pop up here that are not what they appear to be. So you need to use your intellect, your discernment, your brain power to really kind of figure out what these things apart. Try to figure out what this actually means. The best things, that look the best are not always the best for us. That kind of vibe. So just be smart about it. There's something out there that Spirit wants to avoid, a lot of you. Next, they show action, but going backwards and into your past. Okay, and this is not with the skills you've learned. So this is almost like going back to something that you don't need your current skill set to do. Maybe this is a side job, a second job. Maybe some of you just need to take a break from your actual field, whatever you're in. I'm going to give you an example like nursing, for example. If you've been doing in the nursing field for like 10 years, a long time, okay, well now maybe you're a little burnt out. You enjoy doing it, but you know what? I just need a break for a while. I need to go back into something else. Well, leave here in a good way. You can come back. You can take your little pause and reprieve and do something a little bit more simple, a little less responsibility for some time. That's a silly example, I know, but I'm just giving you the energy so you understand like what to do with this and what Spirit is talking about here. So they talk about moving back. So moving back to me feels like something you may have done before, previously. And if this is something you've done before, it may give you an idea that maybe this is just a side gig, a side hustle of some form, where I used to tutor, or I used to work at summer camp during the summer, just a little side thing for 10 weeks or whatever this is. So this is like looking back into the past. So Spirit is basically saying, consider something you've done before. Maybe something you enjoyed before. Pay attention to what brings you joy. All that kind of stuff. So, but just all that glitters, okay? So if it looks good, isn't necessarily good. So very good reading. 3 stories, all kind of short and different moving parts there, as you can see. Now we're going to get into a very large moon cycle for you guys here. And I do want to tell you before I get into there that the super new moon is what it's called. It's the brand new big new moon because it's large in the sky. The full moon is going to be micro. It's going to be small. Doesn't mean you can't use it to your benefit, because you can. But the super new moon, it is going to be the best time in the entire year, basically, to attract and bring new things into your life. So any Scorpios that are trying to bring something new in, this is what you want to pay attention to right here in your moon cycle. Okay guys, it is moon cycles forecast time. Let's talk about these lunar energies that are all around us anyways, so we can use it to our benefit, implement some positive change into your month. Well, the first thing you need to understand is whether these energies are coming in or going out. Just like the tides, the moon has control of that. In the same way, you can use it too. The first thing that hits chronologically this month is the new moon. You're going to see all the text information on your screen, any rare occurrences, as well as the date. Now, this is a target date for the new moon. It doesn't have to be done on this date, guys. I really like to bracket a few days before and a few days after to get a very powerful week where you can bring new things into your life and really manifest. If it is NEW, it's not there before, brand new, this is the best time to bring it into your life. Something new financially, maybe something new with work, new love, new health. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's new, this is the best time of the month to work on these things, really help bring it in. Adversely, the full moon, the opposite energy, the energy going out, hits on this date on your screen. And of course, the same rules apply. It doesn't have to be done on this date. We're talking about a week window, a few days on each side of it here. When this energy is very strong going out, and the energy going out is the best time to get things out of your life that don't belong there or that you don't want there. Something that's got control of you or hold of you that you don't want. Maybe something like a bad habit, maybe emotional baggage, a bill that's got to go. That would be something financially, maybe something with health, maybe an eating habit that's got to go. It doesn't matter if it's got to go. The full moon is your best bet to get this change to stick. If any of this has confused you, I've put together a moon cycle cheat sheet. I do it every single month. It is free. It is on the website, guys. You can check it out very easily. It is a little graphic illustration, a tool that you can use so you can kind of see these changes moving in and moving out, so you can align things in your month to it to really get them to stick, implement some great positive changes. Now let's get into your homily. Hello friends, and welcome into your homily, February 2024 edition. My name is Scott Sagent, and the name of this homily this month is Don't Let It Rain on Your Parade. We're going to be talking about managing expectations here, good expectations that we might be too high on, expecting too much from, bad things, expecting bad days, and how we can get way too low on that, finding a nice middle ground here. The first and very most important thing to start with is that us, as human beings, we are just prediction machines. Our mind is computing and processing a whole bunch of stimuli every single second of every single day, trying to figure out what's going to happen next so that you can be in the right present moment, making the best decisions for you at that time. So just like if you come up to a stop sign and there's another car, you're trying to figure out, both of you guys are really, who's going to go first, who's going to do what you're trying to figure out what they're going to do so you don't crash into them, right? Same thing if a stranger walks up to you, you're trying to figure out, analyze the heck out of it as quick as you're not even realizing it's happening at this point. It happens automatically, but you're trying to figure out, is this stranger coming up to me? Can they be trusted? Are they a good person? Or are they going to rob me? Okay, so we're doing all these kind of things all the time, all these computations behind the scene. And as a result of all that, we come up with expectations, our version of the future, whether it be a good event or a negative event, it doesn't matter. We're creating these expectations all the time about what we expect to happen. But here's the thing, a lot of times these expectations do not happen. Never happens at all. Or maybe they're not as good as we want them to be, or as bad as we would like to avoid. So let's get into a little bit of that. Now, I like to look at this with a frame that I call the 5% rule. So let's take a good example first. Hey, you're going to Disneyland, you're going to a theme park, doesn't matter which one, pretend, okay, you're going to have the best day ever. Your expectations are way up here. You're like, yeah, I'm going to meet these characters. I'm going to get to go on all these rides. I'm going to, live out my childhood dreams and just have a great day all the way up here. That's what you're expecting, okay? And that's fine. Maybe it'll happen. But there's only that 5% rule, the 5% chance that you're going to get to the tippy top of what is actually going to occur. Stuff happens, stuff goes wrong. And if you're up there, that 5%, well, the reality is that you're going to be somewhere in that other 95% range, which is way down here. Okay, so even if it's a good day and it's up here, it's like, well, I didn't get to go on all the rides I wanted to go on. I got to go on half of them, but there's the other half, and the lines were too long. Or maybe down here it rained all day. They had to shut down some rides. It didn't work out at all for me. That was not what I was expecting at all. So anywhere off of your top tier of what you were expecting before is going to be a letdown. You're going to feel that very deeply in you, like something is just not really good, not a good feeling, not a good emotion to have. Now let's look at a negative one. Same rule of fives apply. Hey, you got to go to a dentist appointment. This is going to be one where you're expecting a procedure to happen that is going to be a little painful, a little bit of uncomfortness going on, and you know you're just not looking forward to it. Okay, so your expectation is like down, down, down here. I'm not sure if I'm off the camera, but I'm pretty low down here. So anyway, the same 5% rule applies, guys. Same 5% rule. It's usually not as bad as you expect it to be, the bad things, okay? You're going to be in that 95% range somewhere else. So, hey, you get this procedure done, and okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought. That didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. Maybe it was an uncomfortable hour and a half. But you know what? Now, that was up here. That wasn't that bad. Now I can feel like that weight is lifted off my shoulder. I got that out of the way, done and checked off my list. So it's the rule of the 5%. Now, what do we do with this information, right? Now, a lot of people say, oh, you just got to eliminate the expectations. Just get rid of them altogether. You don't need them, right? We don't need to have expectations about what's going to happen, whether it be good or bad. Well, that's a utopia. That is just not realistic, since we are human prediction machines. We are always trying to figure stuff out, and without expectations, that would leave us with nothing to ever look forward to. And of course, it's okay to look forward to something. You just got to manage this. So let's talk about how we manage these. Giving those two examples that I gave you earlier, let's go through both of them. The Disney World, having a great time, expectations up to here. Hey, you know what? Let's bring the expectation into middle keel. You know why? Because I expect that I'm going to have fun no matter what happens. Because at the end of the day, it is not what happens to you. It's what you do with what happens to you. It's the decisions you make. So if you go into the day thinking, hey, you know what? I'm going to have the best time possible with whatever situations and circumstances come up. I'm going to make sure that this is a good day. Okay, so you're up here and you're nice and good. That's managing your expectations for the good. Now let's talk about managing the low side. That dentist appointment, that painful procedure, that cavity filling, that root canal, whatever it is. Okay, well, what do we do about this? You tell yourself, hey, you know what? It might not be that bad. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to check it off my list, and I'm going to put it behind me. You're going to attack the day in a much more middle keel. And the likelihood is you're going to hit that 95% either way. So it's all going to work out kind of more in the middle regardless. Nothing is ever as bad as we expect it to be. And usually nothing is ever as good as we expect it to be either. And that's okay, because we're managing expectations. Of course, this doesn't always come naturally to everybody. Sometimes it does take a little bit of practice and implementation to lower these expectations, or at least manage the kind of middle ground, that 95% range of both sides of things. But the rain will come. It always does. The challenges in life will come. Nothing ever works out like we intend it to, whether it be too good or too bad. And the good news is that puts the power back into your corner, because again, it is not what happens to you. It is what you do with what happens to you. You remember that, you'll be in great shape, guys. So that is going to conclude your homily for February 2024. Do not let it rain on your parade, guys. I'm telling you. That's it for me. I hope you've enjoyed the reading. Please remember to like and subscribe so you see the future readings. Have an excellent February. I know you will.
So I guess the fortune teller's right.